Morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 4 and episode 369 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network.
That's right. 4 years ago today, we started this whole journey adventure thing that we are now upon. So 4 years ago today, we started this. It's crazy. Huh? In the middle of the pandemic, we decided to start a podcast. Oh, I think we're the only ones who did that, though. Nobody else did that, right?
Just nobody else. Just us. Nobody else. We were so unique. Nobody thought of the idea.
No.
It was the perfect timing to slide in with no competition whatsoever.
None. Zero. Yeah. Nobody was doing it.
Yes, kids and cats. It's our Beaverversary.
I didn't know that was a word, but I guess it is now, the Beaverversary. Yeah.
It is now. Yes, 3 full seasons complete, 3 years together, my friend.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're starting into year 4 now.
Yeah, I know. Who'd have thunk it, eh? We actually made a 5-year plan and kind of stuck to it.
And we're still, I mean, technically we've got 2 more years, well, another season to go, another year to go before we get to year 5. So we're ahead of the game. We were hoping we would be where we are right now by year 5 and build from there. So,
we
were one little
last year.
Yeah, exactly. We got there almost a year and a half ago. I mean,
yeah.
2 years ago is when we started to get there, and it built from there. It's all happenstance. Just, a bunch of ignorant, ill-informed individuals who came to the wrong city to protest mandates, so they said, when they really wanted to bring down the government. That fractured horde of ignorance who invaded my neighborhood for 3+ weeks tried to make a fool out of me, and instead ended up casting the spotlight on the city of Ottawa and what was actually happening here, because a lot of people here thought it was just an innocent thing. And when they saw that, a lot of people's attitudes changed very quickly. So, I got a chance to voice my opinion loudly. And then, of course, Dean saw that and brought me on his show. So thanks, Dean. Appreciate that. And you gave us a massive boost by including us on the Crier Media Network, Canada's largest podcast network, which now places us in a growth position. And as we are about to switch to a new distribution system, they'll start to seek out ads for us. So that's great, because I just simply don't have the time to look for advertisers. I'm too busy. 75 to 80 hours a week I put into this. And it's actually more now because I'm producing my wife's show as well. So yeah, if somebody else can do the dirty work for us, the heavy lifting of finding the advertisers, that takes a load off my mind.
Yep. And it's not like I haven't sent letters, but cold calling is not particularly effective.
No.
Sadly,
And
no.
I can do cold calls. It's just when?
Yeah, but
Like literally.
it's not. But like I said, it's not particularly effective at all. It's like it's been radio silence. So yeah, you know, I'm thinking that every podcaster's life there comes a time where they kind of wonder, like, I mean, if they're trying to do something like we're doing, can I really make a go of this, or
Mhm.
will that thing ever happen? And eventually, I assume it will.
It just takes time. And now that
Yeah,
we have somebody to dig for us, that'll help. That'll really help things along, move things along.
but like I said, our kits have been great. We report on pretty much everything that happens here, and I think at the end of last year, I think we had reported that because of them, we had grown over 240%
Yes.
year over year, which was absolutely phenomenal. Um, you know, and we're at the point now, for example, we have enough subscribers for example, super chat donations, which happen, and we're
Yes.
fewer than 250 away for hitting our 1,000. That's when we'll start getting a little bit of revenue from YouTube just for existing. When
Yeah.
people
So,
watch X number of episodes, there'll be a little bit coming, so that will help. And hopefully, as the kids have been doing so well in terms of spreading the word and letting people know that that helps. So eventually, it will happen.
oh yeah.
Eventually, it will happen. But yes, it would be very nice if someone was actually out there saying, "Hey, you know what? This show has X number of viewers and listeners a month. This is a place that you might want to put an ad without us having to knock on all the doors." Yeah, that would be very, very helpful. So yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed, and let's hope that migrating to this new distribution service uh, really does help lighten our load.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. And, Mr. Mr. Otter says, "Don't hold your breath on that, fellas." And I'm like, "Don't worry, I'm not. I'm not.
No, no,
We're just hopeful that um, that this new distribution network, which says they will seek out advertisers for us, can do so, and we can earn some money. So yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But,
Sean.
I mean, it's already a labor of love, So it's just we're just hoping. We are
Yes,
we
just
are
hope.
we are hoping to be able to, at least break even on costs. Maybe raise a little bit of extra money so we can do things like a tour and things that we would like to do to be able to go out and to see the kids where they are and that kind of stuff. So, but again, as a subscriber base happens, grows, that will happen. As we, for example, when we cross 1,000. And we'll be able to offer sort of like ad-free shows and maybe be able to produce smaller, shorter, bonus content or that type of stuff that makes it worth people's while. We might be able to go to a subscription model at that point for people who want to help that way.
Mhm.
But you know, slow and steady wins the race. You nurture the community, and as we have learned, the community nurtures you back. So
Oh yes, yes.
for that, we are extremely grateful because
Well, and one of the ways we're
growing
able
with
to do that is with the monthly podcast when we can have people just come in and hang out with us, either in person or online. And just have a friendly Saturday afternoon chat over a couple of pops, a couple of wobbly pops, and and get to know each other a little bit better because we're not just political people. As you know, I have a wide, vast array of interest, as do you.
mm,
Music being the biggest one in my life,
mhm.
music, and then of course sport, soccer, football, hockey. Gotten into rugby over the last few years. I'm a CFL guy. I've been going to Ottawa football games since 1980, and Rough Riders supporter for decades, and then of course they were gone for about a decade, and then the Renegades, they were gone for a bit, and then now the Red Blacks. I had season tickets for the first 8 years, and then the pandemic rolled along. I guess the first 6 years. First six
Yeah.
years, pandemic rolled along, canceled the season. They came back, and it was kind of like just not in my budget to be able to renew them. And with inflationary measures and cost increase, it's just not there. I've put more money into the show. I've put more money into bandwidth, into computer equipment, into audio equipment, into lighting and video equipment. Every time I turn around, there's another piece of equipment I've added here. More stuff so we can do a mobile studio, which is about 99%. There's only one or two little things I need to get, and then I'll have a ridiculous mobile kit so we can literally go anywhere and broadcast. So, I just refocused where I wanted to put my money. Would I like to be able to get season tickets again? Absolutely. I would love to. This season wouldn't work out for me well because I'm going to be gone for a few weeks in July. So I'll be able to be there for the Canada Day game in Big Rec, which is awesome. It happens on June 30th, which is a Friday. I
Yeah.
believe it's a Friday. Is it a Friday? I don't know. I'll have to check my calendar. Let me see.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is. Let's see here. Let's check the old calendar here. And let's see. April, May, June. June 30th. No, sorry. June 30th is a Sunday. July 1st is a Monday.
Yeah.
So the
Still
game must
on.
be the 28th, the Friday, I believe it is. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's not pick pepper out of fly shit. Let's just move along with the show. You never heard that one before? Oh yeah.
Nope.
Is that a difficult job? Harder than picking pepper out of fly shit with boxing gloves on? That's an old saying.
I've never.
Well, can you imagine how hard that would be, picking pepper out of fly shit with boxing gloves on?
That would be very difficult.
Exactly. And you're not allowed to use tweezers, just boxing gloves. Give it a go. Give it a go. It ain't easy.
I'd rather not. I will. You know what? I will defer to your personal expertise in all matters related to picking pepper out of shit with boxing gloves. All right.
Fly shit. So you can't. You got to look closely to see if you make sure you get the right one.
Oh my God.
That's a
Okay.
down eastern one. That's my mom used to say that all the time. She got that from her father. My grandfather used to say that.
Nope, never heard of that one.
But he would say fly poop because the man never swore in his life.
There you go. There you go. Kids and Cubs. Last night, for those of you who are interested in democracy, in the bustling metropolis of Lethbridge, Alberta, the Alberta NDP held their first of 3, I believe it is going to be, all candidates debates for the leadership. So we had Kathleen Ganley, Sarah Hoffman, Jody Coolhouse. Oh, oh darn, that's so terrible.
What?
I misnoted her name. It's not Coolhouse. It's something Stonehouse. Stonehouse is her last name, but I can't remember the middle name.
I don't know, man. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. Maybe the kids can remind us. Not that I would be able to see it here on the mobile. Oh my God, I feel so terrible. Darn. Naheed Nenshi, of course, and Gil McGowan. And I am going to actually just look up her name because that is not
Jody
right.
Callahoo Stonehouse?
Callahoo. Yeah, I believe it's Callahoo. Yes, Jody Callahoo Stonehouse. My apologies. My apologies. All 5 of them were at the debate. There was a little wondering if maybe all 5 would show up, just because there was a threshold of $20,000. I'm guessing a certain number of signatures, but at least $20,000 that had to be raised to get to this stage, and then there will be another $20,000 to be raised to get to the next stage. So they were thinking that maybe 1 or 2 might drop out because maybe they just barely made the 20,000 and weren't as confident in their ability to make the next. But no, all 5 were there, and of course I watched it so that you don't have to. But if you had, it wasn't half bad, I have to say. Now,
I haven't seen any of it yet. I know you sent me the clip and I've got it here ready to roll. I haven't seen any of it.
yeah. Now, it's an NDP debate.
So
People were violent in agreement with each other. And people were nice and people were friendly. It's not where you go for sparks, although there were a couple, as close as you get to sparks in a very congenial attitude. Not so much like sparks, but there were some attempts to try to draw some contrast, and there were a couple of moments that were a little more aggressive than kumbaya, or you could see people saying, okay, this person is still playing within like the rules about how we, how we're going to deal with each other. We're not going to put each other down like this. But oh, someone's jumping in. Someone wants the ball here. Okay, okay, I see you, player. Right. So, but it was informative.
Mhm.
And for, I mean, if I was an NDP member in Alberta, I would have felt that I got a lot of information that I needed to help me cast my vote. So, in that sense, the debate was actually edifying. Um, One thing is for sure is that members of the Alberta NDP have an embarrassment of riches to choose from. Everyone performed well as a baseline. Everyone
Mm.
performed. There are some that are slightly better speakers. There were some you could tell were a little more nervous than each other. There were some that you could tell were more new to the political process in as a candidate as opposed to past capacity. But all of them performed well. All of them shined. All of them had good moments. So there was a lot to love. So much so that I could easily foresee that each of the candidates, because listen, there's five of them, so there's clearly a ranking. There's some that have raised more money than others and have more signatures than others and that type. But I would assume that every candidate on the stage did exceeded the minimum that they needed to do to make sure that they would get enough donations to get to the next stage. I would assume. The rest depends on how big the pool of money is and how much of it they can access. But in terms of merit, if anybody had put money behind them and said, "This is my candidate," I think anybody who put money behind any one of the candidates would have been quite pleased with what they saw and thought, "Okay, my candidate did themselves some good here." Problem is that every other candidate also did themselves some good there, which means relative to one another, that that may have created a situation where everybody stands pat. But we don't have the rankings at the moment in terms of going into the race, other than whatever campaigns would want to share themselves about their fundraising, and then of course at this point you still have to take their word for it unless the party is really seen, by this deadline, this candidate raised this much money, as opposed to just saying this candidate met the threshold. So uh, I don't know enough detail to know how much of that information has been released. I'm going to go through a few moments here in the debate, uh, and it's just to give everybody a sense of the quality of the candidates. I'm going to pick some moments that had a little more back and forth, or some moments where the candidates particularly shined, and give a chance to go through that. Mr. Grizzly, not sure if I sent you the first timestamp written.
No, I don't have it yet.
Yeah, it's having a little tricky situation here
Well, that
when
happens.
I came to send it to you. So I just ask you to go to 5650 there. Oh, there we go. The thing set up again. Mr. Grizzly had the wonderful idea of having me on Restream here through the cell phone camera, because that one goes at the correct speed in order to be able to get stuff to you and not having me not freezing like was happening with the Beaver launch on my laptop, but to have the laptop open so that I can send them links and timestamps more discreetly. And unfortunately, as it was trying to boot up, um, it kind of had some complications, but now it seems to be running smoothly. So hopefully, through the magic of the Beaver launch, now that you know how the sausage is being made, I will be able to do this a little more seamlessly. But yes, if we are at 5650, Mr. Grizzly, uh, this is the first moment. It's about halfway through the debate. So usually the things were going two by two. And then about halfway through the debate, they started putting questions to groups of 3. And here's the thing I have to say. These candidates were so well behaved and so respectful to each other that if the moderator said, okay, you've got like a minute and a half for the debate, I'm going to throw it out here. There's, on this topic, it's you 3. One person would talk for what they thought was 30 seconds and sort of end their sentence, and somebody else would start and somebody else would start. So there was almost no jumping over each other, except there's a couple of instances where you will see that does happen. And you will notice it's like, okay, it's like, I said nothing, but yep, that is your 30 seconds. So I'm going to start talking now to make sure. So, which Kate
So it was a stupid Canadian, like a stereotypical Canadian. No, after you. No, after you. No, sorry, I insist. After you. You first.
It really
please.
was. It really was. There was a moment between Nenshi and Gil McGowan that was, you going? You're going? Okay, I'll go first. You can see it in the body language.
That's refreshing because we've not seen that in political sphere for some time now, and I miss that. I miss civility. I miss politeness. I miss decorum. I miss the Canadian politeness that we were so well known for. And assholes like Pierre Poilievre and his barking seal party has helped to destroy that.
Yep. And the moderator made the comment several times, thank you for keeping it respectful and all that stuff. So, I mean, it was really great. But you could tell it was like, listen, here's the unwritten rule. If we get a minute and a half, we're dividing it up 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. And I will say nothing for 30 seconds, but at 32, I'm going to start talking because now that's my time. So and when people did that, the couple of times that happened, the person that was talking just went, oh, yep, sorry, went a little over. Yep. So, it was great. If you wanted to hear people say ideas hear ideas without any shouting and yelling, like this was the debate for you. So, but this is the moment, right? First question, moving from, too bad clubbing sales is unpopular. Oh, Kid J.
That was funny. That was funny.
Oh. So here is, they had just moved from 2 to 3. The moderator asked the first question. They each had a go at it for a little bit. They each had their moment, and then she's opening it up to the floor for the 3 of them to discuss it and have some back and forth. So this is the very first instance where they go at 3 and have some back and forth, and you'll see right there in order.
Now I will have Sarah, Kathleen, and Nahid. You have 90 seconds for an open debate.
And this is so typical of the UCP. It is so typical. This is a government that is fundamentally incompetent, and that's why we absolutely must win the next election. They're mismanaging our electricity grid, they're mismanaging our healthcare, they're mismanaging our economy, and that is why we need to step forward unapologetically and tell people why our ideas on the economy, why making energy a yes and conversation, why giving more to those who have less is the better solution.
So while we've heard many sentences ahead, I just want to be very clear. Are you going to, on day one, if you have the honor of leading this province, repeal the ban that's in place right now? Because
we're
hearing many sentences, but we're not hearing a lot of policy.
Yeah, so let me suggest to you, Sarah, that I've heard you say it many times. You know there is no ban at the moment. There is a set of policies that are wrong. And yes, we will repeal those policies and put new things in, but and I've talked to many people in the renewables industry about exactly the regulatory environment that they require. But we should be honest with people and say that the ban, which was a moratorium, isn't there anymore. It's just been replaced by terrible policy.
Except I've seen the bingo dabber maps. You know that the vast majority of the places where there's wind in Alberta, you're not allowed to build wind projects. Even if the local landowner wants to put wind on their own private property, they're not allowed to. It is banned in those areas with the policies.
So it is 100% taking away people's right to their own prosperity. Sorry, Kathleen.
Oh, I was just going to say, well, functionally it might not be a ban. Practically, in some ways it is.
Fair enough.
Thank you. Thank you.
So will you repeal it?
Thank you. Well, we will move on here. Thank you. I would like to give an opportunity for a 1-minute rebuttal to either Jody or Gil, or if you both want to.
Yes, thank
wants
you.
to go for Jody.
We need to double down on renewables. We are energy leaders, and we need to diversify our economic systems and stabilize them and invite those innovators back to our province so we can thrive and repair those broken systems of healthcare and education and so on, which means we're going to have geothermal, not just for heating houses, but geothermal power. Norway gets 72% of their total power from geothermal steam power. We are already experts in drilling. It makes sense. We're going to do natural gas. We're going to do oil and gas. We're going to do wind. We're going to do solar. And it's about building out and up so that we have a prosperous province, so that we do thrive together and we have jobs for citizens. And we are doing it by capturing carbon all at the same time.
Thank you, Gil.
With due respect to my colleagues, I don't think it's a question of Danielle Smith being incompetent or not knowing what she's doing. I actually think she knows exactly what she's doing by imposing restrictions on renewables. Her job should be to defend the interests of the citizens of this province, but what she's doing is defending the interests of incumbents in the industry at the expense of Albertans.
Yes.
So we have to get that right.
Yes.
So what I've said from the beginning of this campaign is that in order to win, we have to build an economic case. And the future of renewables, especially in rural Alberta, is key to strengthening our economy, but also winning the next election.
Yes.
Because a healthy and growing renewable sector creates jobs where? In rural Alberta. It creates revenues. Where? In rural Alberta. This is a case of a policy that we can support that will grow our economy and help us win the next election.
Yes.
All right. So there you go. You had a little taste of each of the five of them, all of them speaking very clearly. A couple of them had a couple of notes on the podium that they would look down, but like pretty much without notes. All of them. Complete sentences, no panic, no name calling, no insults.
Healthy debate.
Healthy debate. Now you got Kit Copper and Bomber go the old "I violently agree with you" debate. No knock punches. No knock punches. But you will notice that Sarah Hoffman in that one, was basically asking about the moratorium, which then sort of became, it's not technically a ban, but you make it so impossible that you really can't access the policy. It pretty much is banned on renewables. And Sarah Hoffman was there and said, yeah, but would you repeal it? Now, in all fairness, Mr. Nenshi, I do believe he said in the answer as he was going, I'll repeal it. After we repeal it, we will do something. But he kind of sort of mentioned it in passing without focusing on the fact we'll repeal it, which then created an opening for her at the end going, yeah, but would you repeal it? It was like, so she was the first one to come out and say, hey, I have this policy. This is, I've stated what it is. Will you at least match that? Will you follow? So, that's the type of aggressive that you have that's still respectful, and you're able to draw a contrast without telling people, without tearing people down. So she went for it. She wasn't afraid. It's like, this is the first opportunity that we're going three. We're debating three and not just two. I'm going for it. Let's go. So you could tell that she wanted it, and I thought that was a great way, because up until that moment, it really was super, super cordial, violent agreement, and nobody was really trying to draw contrast in a more assertive way. But to that, there was still contrast being drawn, but it was sort of like, I believe, that type of stuff,
Yeah.
but not. It's like, I believe. What about you? There had been no moment like that up until then. So it's like, okay, and you saw in Hayden entry, okay, now we're debating. Yeah, let's have some fun. All right.
Well,
The next,
and Mr. Cal points out, where's the snarky comments, talking over each other, conversely avoiding questions to repeat talking points? What are they trying to do? Debate? I watched the conservative leaders, when they were the debate for, this is a stark contrast. This is a night and day contrast. These are all passionate individuals who all want to work together to make things better for everyone. including the Conservatives, because they're Canadian too, even though some of them don't think they are.
Okay,
This is
indeed.
what you need to see more of in politics. Passionate, caring, compassionate individuals who do want to make a difference. And every person on that stage wants to improve the lives for everybody in the province of Alberta.
Yeah,
We didn't
absolutely.
see that. What we saw with the Conservative leadership, and now it was a federal race, not a provincial race, but still it's a leadership race. What we saw were individuals trying to claw their way to the top and stomp on each other to get there. And that's not how things used to be done in this country. What we're seeing in Alberta right now with the leadership race for the Alberta NDP is how things used to be. Polite, cordial, sometimes curt, passionate, engaged, and definitely trying to do better. We don't
Yep.
see that anymore.
Yep, indeed. Now, Mr. Grizzly, you have the next timestamp, and this is a good section, but I want you to pay attention here to Jody Kellehu Stonehouse, who does something I have rarely seen a political party do.
Okay.
An open debate between Naheed, Gil, and Jody.
You know,
90 seconds, sorry.
One of the things that's shocked me the most in the conversations I've had with people across Alberta is when people tell me, look, the school in my town is half the size that it used to be, but we still have 45 students in a class because we can't attract and retain teachers. And so for me, one of the critical things that we have to think about, and I agree with you, Gil, on everything, there's a lot of stuff on how do we win in rural Alberta, which we have to do. But I think we also have to look at the quality of life in every community in Alberta and ensure that every community has the public services that they need in order to attract the people who want to live and work there.
And public services aren't just about attracting people and retaining them in rural communities. I agree with you, it's critical. But in smaller communities, public sector jobs are often the best jobs in the community. So when we talk about stopping privatization, this is not just a notional issue. It really hits home even more so in rural communities, because when you privatize, when you contract out the work, you turn good jobs into bad jobs, and that doesn't have an effect just on the workers.
When we
It has
were
an
in
effect on the whole
government, we
community.
put in Bill 6, which really damaged the relationship with the rural. And we have to repair the relationship, which means showing up, listening, working with our candidates who run out there in our constituency associations, working with the volunteers who come from that area and listening, because we are going to strengthen our party by connecting with the people who believe in New Democrat values.
Thank you. Thank you. I will now give an opportunity for Sarah or Kathleen. 1 minute.
Yeah, so I would just like to say that we actually do have a lot of people working in communities outside of Edmonton and Calgary. We have people working incredibly hard in mid-sized cities and rural areas throughout the province. We have candidates, we have thousands of volunteers knocking on a lot of doors. I think what we need to give them in order to make progress is a real offer on the economy. I think we need to give them concrete policies. One of those concrete policies that I am proposing is about ensuring that we have bus service to rural areas. My grandmother, my father grew up in Shaunavon, Saskatchewan. My grandmother wasn't able to drive at the end. So her only way out of that community to her family was on a bus. And I think if we want to keep our communities vibrant, we need to consider investing in things like rural bus service.
Sarah?
I just want to correct the record on something. The reason why we have 45 kids in a classroom is because we have the lowest per capita education funding of anywhere in the country. And we need an NDP leader who's going to call the government out on that, not blame the fact that we can't attract people, because we can attract them if we actually properly fund education. So that's one thing I want to correct her on. The other piece I want to say is that I grew up in Canuso, a village of 200 in northern Alberta, and those values of my friends and neighbors up there are NDP values. And after we lost in 2019 and we licked our wounds for a few months, I said, I want a buddy riding that's not in Edmonton or Calgary. And Rachel told me, you get Banff Kananaskis. And I got on the phone. I did the grunt work. I helped call the volunteers and say, thank you for volunteering last time. Will you please volunteer next time? We made sure that there was a strong EDA. There were 4 candidates who contested the nomination there. We got the fantastic Sarah El-Maliki as a candidate. She worked her ass off with me. I knocked in those rural ridings with her, and we won Banff Kananaskis.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Now, here in this clip, I wanted to show it to you because, number one, Jody Callahoo Stonehouse, right? Yeah, Mr. McGillen, that's your 30 seconds. It's my turn now. I'm just going to slide right in there. And you can see like the audience laughed because, you know, they knew he was going over, and you saw him kind of chuckle because he knew too that he was going over. So, but like I said, right? It's people were like, okay, now my turn. So that's what I mean. You're seeing people be assertive. They want it. This.
Oh, yes.
Not so much that they're going to be rude and disrespectful to each other, but it's like, I want the ball. It's my turn to run.
Give me the rock. I want the rock.
Yeah. And she did something. She admitted a failure of the party when it was in government last time. Now, I'm not from Alberta, and I do not know what Bill 6 is. And I'm going to ask and find out about it. But it seems that the NDP, whatever relationship that they were trying to build with what is referred to as rural Alberta, took a big kick in the teeth with what Bill 6. So for someone to say, you know what, we got to fix the damage we did on Bill 6, we've got to repair that trust because we screwed up there with the rural communities. Was the last time you heard the party admit that in a debate?
That would be never. Never.
Yep.
We screwed up. No, they don't do that. They don't say that they screwed up. Even when they did, they try and deflect. Well, and I'm going with the current opposition. How do you feel about this? Justin Trudeau is trying to divide Canadians. That's not an answer to the question. And we hear that, what, every second or third day?
Yep, indeed.
This was an admission. Yeah, we messed up. We made a mistake.
Didn't do right by you, and we betrayed your trust.
Do you know how many Canadians that resonates with? Oh my God, they admitted they screwed up. They didn't try and spin it. They didn't try and paint a rosy picture. They said, yeah, we screwed up. We didn't do right by you. We're going to make better. That is the kind of politics people want.
Yep.
And I don't care if you are an extreme right-wing evangelical who wants nothing but a Christo-fascist state. I'm pretty sure even the Christo-fascist leaders that you pray to, and PREY to is what I'm saying, you would want them to admit when they screwed up. Because that's Christ-like, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, and then you see at the end, Sarah Hoffman, again, showing that she really wants this, because you have to remember, right? This is a debate to membership. And that whole last bit from her, this was her talking about how it is she's not afraid to roll up her sleeves to get into the ridings that even seem that are lost, do the grunt work, and win. She's not only selling policy, she's selling her ability, because she was deputy leader.
Right.
Go out, network, help people fundraise for themselves, knock on doors for other people, not just herself, all that type of stuff. She made that pitch often during the debate. Very, very smart, very clever. When we're talking about tailoring your message to your audience, you probably wouldn't say that at a leaders' debate to the public. They don't care how many doors you went and knocked on for someone else. But for membership, how many hours you spent on the phone?
Yeah.
How much you tried to help other people? How much you recruited other people? So that is very smart.
Agreed.
Very smart. she is. I would describe, if any five of them, any one of the five was the Elizabeth Warren, I've got a plan for that. I've got a plan for that. I've thought of that. The person that shows up with the binder with everything color coded, everything organized. Yep, this day I did that. It's Sarah Hoffman. Because if she loses, she will have lost this with having everything completely mapped and like Gantt charts on the wall and you know, with everything, you know, color coded in the binder and ready to go. Like, this woman is clearly has a battle plan and she's executing it. She is organized. You know, she's identified the audiences. She's strategic in the way that she's going about it. She's putting in the work. Game respects game. Let me put it that way, like this. And you know, there are times in my life that I've had to compete for stuff, and when I really, really, really want it, you know, when you really want it, listen, you really prepare.
Yeah.
You leave nothing to chance. Like, it's like if you are going to lose, someone's going to absolutely beat you because you brought your game, because you prepared.
And then you can go, hey, you know what? To the victor go the spoils, right? And shake hands at center ice.
Yeah,
in a polite
exactly.
fashion and walk away.
Kit Michael, she's just like Leslie Knope on Parks and Recreation. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yes. Exactly that. Exactly that. Lots of plans, lots of goals, lots of dreams. Optimistic, willing to make it happen. Some may fall on her face every now and then like this, but gets back up and says, "Oh well, you know, that kind of smarted. I guess I'll just have to try another way because I really want to
get knocked down. Get up again, and you're never gonna keep me down."
Yeah. So you saw her, and then now you have Kathleen Ganley, right? As you saw, you're seeing two exchanges right now like this, and she's got a vibe of her own, right? Of the five, she's probably the least dynamic speaker in terms of like up and down, whatnot. But she does have tone. She does have inflection. She speaks very clearly.
Oh yes,
exactly where she's going. She's an extremely clear communicator. And she has a voice and a manner that is very comforting in the sense that, yes, I thought about this, and this is the way that we are going to do this. Now, just listen to me. I will explain it very clearly, and then we can all go together. Okay? She has that type of thing that she speaks a little more slowly. She's not, there is animation, but she's not as animated as the other ones like this, but she draws you in. She is very pleasant to listen to, and what she says has substance. She doesn't need to use as many words. She's very clear. I like that in the communication style. Then you have Mr. McGowan, who you can tell is the newest to this field in terms of politics. You know, he comes from the labor side, and yes, that is political, and yes, you make speeches, but you know, on the union floor, you tend to talk a little more.
Oh yes,
more rousing. So there are times where, you know, you could see that his time was up and he wasn't able to fit his thought in the time. Whereas Kathleen Ganley, this, you know, almost throughout the entire debate, she would always have a chance to end whatever sentence she was saying before the time. And it was sort of like, and that's why we need to do that. Okay, and now we will move to, because maybe she still had like 5 or 6 seconds left, but she was always able to keep the answers really in time, which made her look like she was not rushed at all like this, and therefore really on top of things. McGowan often got caught off at the end because he wasn't timing stuff. So you could see that he was a little less seasoned in that way. But still lots of substance, and of course, bringing the perspective not only of labor workers, so he's like the traditional NDP side, but he's also a farm kid.
Yes.
He grew up on a farm, so he gets to bring that perspective as well. Then you have,
which will help with rural Alberta, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you know what? One of the things that my buddy Alex out in Calgary, I'll be visiting him this summer. We had a long chat a little while back about how he said, why people in rural areas. I have a problem saying rural. I have to say it
Yeah,
slowly for some reason. I
yes, me
struggle
too.
with it.
Rural,
Rural. It's like I
rural.
have a mouthful of marbles. He said one of the things that people in rural parts ridings feel is that that nobody gives a damn about them. They don't feel like
Mhm.
their voices are heard, like they don't count, like nothing is ever done on their behalf for them. And I'm sure Cassie can speak to this, and anybody else in the chat who lives in a rural area or rural riding probably feels much the same way. And a lot of people have heard the rallying cries of Pierre Poilievre and thought, he's going to do something for me. No, he's not. He will completely ignore you, as evidenced by what the UCP has done to rural Albertans.
Yep.
NDP in Alberta is speaking to everyone, much
Yep.
like Wab Kinu's NDP party, NDP party, New Democratic Party, much like Wab Kinu's NDP has done in Manitoba. They're speaking to every resident of the province. And again, the current crop of NDP MLAs in the province of Alberta have more in touch with Joe Clark's Progressive Conservative Party than they do with Ed Broadbent's NDP.
Yeah.
And that's not a lie. That's a fact.
Mhm.
This party's
Yeah.
the same way because Naheed Nenshi is a progressive conservative.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why the reason I liked Kathleen Ganley's answer on that, because she was talking about keeping, those smaller communities in Alberta connected through
Mhm.
bus service of some types. There's a
Yes.
real concrete measures like how do we keep our small towns going? Well, if people were able to go from town to town, it makes it much easier for everybody to, be a little more interdependent and help each other.
Well, the former carrier pulled right out of Canada.
Yeah.
And they
Absolutely.
shut down in Alberta. That was the first province to shut it down. So those small communities that were connected by intercity bus private sector is gone. It doesn't exist. So how do people get around anymore? Well, they don't. Unless somebody can give them a drive, they don't. So
Yeah.
perhaps Alberta should consider a GO type system, a GO bus, GO train type system. GO is Government of Ontario, for those of you who do not know. A GO bus, GO trains, which are I know it's Government Ontario, but it's mostly Southern Ontario, Toronto, the Golden Horseshoe. They don't come to Ottawa. They
No.
should. We should have a GO system in Ottawa as well for buses and trains. We don't. I wish we did. But the GO system, Government of Ontario transit system, connects communities. Alberta could use something like that. And I think this is the direction that they want to go in. And you will get people on board when it's like, we're going to connect your communities again. I know before you used to be able to take the Greyhound. Well, Greyhound's not in Canada anymore. They
No.
left.
I don't even think you can get from Calgary to Edmonton by via.
I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I don't think
Yeah.
you can, actually. I don't think there's a north-south route.
No, I don't think there is. Yeah.
I know that trains do go to Edmonton, but I think they diverge at like Saskatoon or something, Regina, I think, and then
Yeah.
one goes up north. And I don't think there's a north-south route. Now, that being said, there is a company that is planning to build a high-speed rail link between Edmonton and Calgary. And I think
Mhm.
it says instead of the 90 minutes to 2 hours, they want to do it in 35 to 40 minutes. The
That would be
transit. Yes, and the government has undertaken they've committed money to it. It is going to happen. How soon, I don't know, but it's going to happen. It has to happen. Those two cities need to be connected by a high-speed link because the highway, as anybody in Alberta would tell you, that highway is insanely busy all the time.
Yeah.
And
I
the
think
average speed is about 140.
I think it's like 70 to 80% of Albertans live in those two cities, or the
Yes.
metropolitan areas of those two cities.
Yeah, I
I know
think you've
Calgary doesn't have a metropolitan area. I know
No.
it's all just Calgary.
just Calgary, yeah.
But
But between it's about 80% of the province's population is between those two areas.
Yeah.
Edmonton's 1.2 million, I think. Calgary's 1.3. So there's almost 3 million out of a 4.8 million population. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, right, you got Sarah who's come prepared. You've got Gil who brings, the labor and the rural side. You have Kathleen Ganley, who also is very prepared and is extremely effective in the manner in which she communicates. You have Naheed Nenshi. I mean, he's a known quantity. Naheed was Naheed. Absolutely fantastic. His usual authentic self, hitting on
Yes.
all fingers. When you're being yourself, you don't have to, bring out performance. You're just being yourself. So he was up to his regular standard. And then Jody Callahoo Stonehouse, as you may be noticing, definitely is bringing the charisma and was a bit more of the cheerleader of the entire group. Like, but just, we can get this done. And again, positive, upbeat, also with her plans, you know, also prepared, also organized, no less so than others. She has slightly different priorities than other people. One person, I think Sarah Hoffman said, healthcare, climate, and housing, and Jody Callahoo Stonehouse was water, our children, and I believe health. So slightly different priorities in terms, so they're coming from different angles, but no less prepared in any way, shape, or form. But you can see that all of them are actually bringing of themselves to this.
Oh, yes.
Which is really great. Mr. Grizzly, the next one would be at around 116.35. We might be close to that already. And this is a debate where they're starting, I believe, this one might be about the Trans Mountain Pipeline, because it's about to come online fully. They're already loading it with oil for it to start circulating through the pipeline. So I believe that's what this section's about.
Okay.
Kathleen, Naheed, and Gil. And so candidates, here's your next question. In just a few months, the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion from Alberta to British Columbia will be complete, and bitumen will flow through the pipeline. When NDP Premier Rachel Notley announced the approval of this pipeline, one of the goals was to have access to the world markets and to world prices for Alberta energy. As Premier, how will you ensure that Albertans get the best value for the resources they own? Kathleen?
Yeah, so I think the first thing we have to do is to begin by actually being willing to work with the federal government. And that is not what is happening right now with the UCP. A lot of these projects require exactly that. When we were in government, we did an incredibly good job getting that pipeline built. We did strategic polling and advertising into other jurisdictions. We took support from 40% to 70%, and that is how we convinced the federal government, by making the case to the people of Canada that this was a better choice than to put that oil on rail. And the result has been billions of dollars into the Alberta coffers that have funded schools and hospitals and paid for the incredibly important things. This is fundamental. Talking about how we can grow the economy while we are simultaneously taking action on climate change, which we did, is what will win the election.
Thank you, Naheed.
A lot of folks don't know about all that work that Kathleen just mentioned, which is so important on getting TMX built. I had a lot to do with that too. I don't want to take credit, but there was a ton of work that had to be done, even though that pipeline doesn't go through Calgary. And the reason that that was so important was precisely in the question, which is it helps us get proper value for our resources, because what we were doing is we were selling a finite resource at below market price with all of its attendant environmental concerns. Ask me how much it bugs me that A, it went 9 times over budget, which is what I was expecting, or B, that the Premier is going to take credit for something she didn't do when the when the oil starts flowing. Let's remind everyone who says we're no good on the economy that Conservative governments provincially and federally got a grand total of 0 miles of pipeline built to Tidewater. It was Rachel Notley and the federal government, and a little bit the Mayor of Calgary, who actually got the job done.
Thank you. Gil?
There are 3 words. There are 3 words that make many Albertans nervous. Global energy transition. But these words are incredibly important when we're talking about the value of our resources, because those words are not an environmentalist slogan. They are a description of what's actually happening in global oil markets. We're reaching a point where demand for oil will peak and start to decline, and when it does, price will as well. And as the owners of our resources here in Alberta, we have an obligation to make sure that we find ways to make sure our resources still have value. And that's why I, as president of the Alberta Federation of Labour, working with our unions in oil and gas, we put together a proposal to pivot from focusing on fuels to focusing on materials like petrochemicals and carbon fiber. That's the future. And even as demand goes down, we can find a way to get value for our resources by pivoting to the future.
Thank you very much. So Kathleen Naheed-Gill, you have 90-second open debate.
And Gil, I would really like to thank you for the incredible work that you did on that and for the incredible concrete policies that you are putting forward. I think that at the end of the day, that is how we win the hearts and minds of Albertans. We put forward concrete ideas that they can latch onto, that build a narrative, that talk about, how and why we will be better on the economy. I think it is very important that in this leadership race, everybody know where each and every one of us stand in incredibly concrete terms.
Well, you're talking about me, so I'll jump in. Because the other thing we have to remember, though, is we have to avoid the sin of arrogance. Because it's not throwing ideas out there and hoping Albertans latch on to them. It's co-creating the future that we want with Albertans. And in particular, creating that with the party. And speaking as an outsider who's coming in, it is absolutely critical that caucus and the members of this party, now many, many times the number of members we had in January, are actually part of that conversation.
Right,
so
but now
I know where we stand, but everyone knows where I stand.
To be fair,
I think
someone who aspires to lead a party should be able to tell people where he's going to lead it.
So what question do you have, Gil?
But you
Where do you think I don't stand? Where my stance is not clear?
The question I have for you, Naheed, is if I become leader of Alberta's NDP, I will ask you to run in a seat.
Well,
will
thank
you do
you.
it?
Thank
Are
you.
you sure?
Thank you.
100%.
Can I answer her question?
I'll give you a few seconds.
Yeah, ultimately it will depend on the new leader, whoever she or he is. My job is to help you defeat this government
Thank you,
in whatever
Naheed.
way I can.
Thank you. I would like to give a rebut to Sarah, and 1 minute, Jody, 1 minute.
Sure. So to get back to the question, one of the things that helped move that dial of federal support is the fact that we are part of a federal party, and Rachel went to convention and she made a business case for New Democrats across the country to get on side with us doing that expansion. She talked about moving from manifesto to governing and to be able to use the resource revenue that we have from that industry to be able to fund education and healthcare. And she got standing applause from New Democrats from across the country. So we can't be, I know a lot of people like to put up walls and blame Danielle Smith for putting up walls, but there's somebody on this stage who wants to put up a wall with the federal party, maybe two people who want to put up walls with the federal party. That's dangerous. I think that people don't vote for a constitution, they vote for bold policies, NDP policies in this province, and that's what's going to get us over the hurdle, and that's what's going to make sure that we can have a strong economy. If we want a better federal party, we need more federal New Democrats hanging out in Ottawa, federal New Democrats from the prairie provinces, from Lethbridge.
Thank you. Jody?
Insofar as the pipeline, there are two things we need to do. One, we must renegotiate our royalty agreements. Oil and gas has not decreased. In fact, it has continued to increase over the past 4 decades, which means the revenue has also, we've seen record profits, which means we need to have record investment back into Albertans' pockets. The second thing we need to do is we need to hold industry accountable. When there are leaks, the omnibus bill that got put through by the federal government, what it did is it removed protection of the waters. We need to reinstate protection of the waters. And so things like pigging in the oil sands, when that goes through the pipeline, we want to make sure the AER is regulating so that when there is a leak, communities, cities, towns are immediately notified and a cleanup crew is ready to move out to clean up the water to ensure that there is no more contamination. Two things, royalties and clean it up.
Thank you. Thank you.
So something I thought very interesting in the statement she just made was when there is a leak, not
Mhm.
if, when, because they're going to happen. And they've acknowledged that. The system is not infallible. So
Right.
let's mitigate it by having people ready to clean up. Guess what? It's going to cost money. What happened in Alberta back in 2019 when the NDP was defeated? What was one of the first things Jason Kenney did? One of the first cuts he made to programs in that province? Do you know what it was?
No.
They had the best wildfire fighting budget in the country,
Yes.
and he cut it to the bone. And look at what has happened since. That is not fiscal responsibility, despite what they will try and tell you. It is not fiscal responsibility, because what happens then is entire communities burned to the ground.
Yep. Indeed.
We know, we've seen it happen.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm going to save you a few monies by cutting the budget from this thing that we hardly ever use. You're right. We hardly ever use it. But if I remember, growing up was have things available for a rainy day, or in this case, a day when it isn't raining and everything is on goddamn fire.
Yep. Indeed. Kit
And
Tabby.
every person on that stage is in line with this. Let's have things in preparation when bad things happen, because bad things always happen.
Yep.
When a leak occurs, let's be ready to clean it up. I thought that was really pertinent and important to point out.
Absolutely, it is. Kit Tabby G said, I really like Jody. Water is the most important. The one thing that was really interesting about this debate is that the very, very, very first question of the entire debate asked by the moderator was asking about water policy, about managing water.
Mhm.
That, Kits and Cubs, I have a feeling, is going to be a standard question
Mhm.
every debate from now on.
Yeah.
Because it's an issue. Wildfire season, just enough, right?
Mhm. Well, wildfire season never ended this year. Burned right through
Exactly.
the winter.
Exactly. I mean, there's greater than 60 of them burning right now
Mhm.
in Alberta. And I believe there's one municipality that had to have
Yes.
a small evacuation for a little bit already. So the first evacuations and alerts have actually
This is
gone
going to
out.
be, if you think last year was something for wildfires in Alberta, it's going to be nothing compared to this year because they had almost no precipitation. There was
Yep.
almost no snow this winter.
Yep.
Mountains that are traditional for skiing out west, their attendance was down by something like 60 to 65%, I think. I don't have the exact number in front of me. I was talking to a few people about this, and they said they didn't get any snow. There was no snow. And no snow means no melt, and no melt means no water, which means arid, dry, arable land, which guess what? If there's
Fuel,
any trees,
otherwise known as fuel
fuel. Yeah, effectively. Yeah.
in wildfire speak, otherwise known as fuel. So yeah, that water being able to store it when there is some, so that you can plan for drought and all of that kind of stuff, and then also to be able to mitigate when it falls all at once, so that you avoid the effects of flood. That is going to become a bigger policy. But this is the first time I ever saw a debate where a question was asked specifically on water, and where one of the candidates actually opened up with, I have three priorities. One of them is
Mhm.
water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those
Telling,
are
right?
people in this election who are talking to you about water are candidates that are skating where the puck is going. You should pay
Mhm.
attention. You should pay attention to them. That's a sure sign that you got somebody who's there, that's paying attention to not only what they need to do to win this election cycle to get reelected, but that are doing things for the next 7 generations,
Oh, yeah.
as the saying goes. Um, Now, I would like to go, Mr. Grizzly, to 131, sort of, I guess 54. It might be 59 based on the handwriting, but let's go 54 to be sure. These are the closing statements. And again, I would like to say, well, here's one closing statement, and this is the one that knocked it out. But all 5 candidates got better as the night went on, and all 5 candidates had a closing statement that was a moment for them. So let's play the closing statements.
Thank you very much for the open debate. So we will now move to the 90-second closing statement from each candidate. And I want to begin with Jody.
Thank you so much for your time today and for all the love and support, for getting me here on the stage. I don't take for granted all of the work that it's taken to get me here. It's not just me, but all of my volunteers. I'm thankful. And why it's important that I'm here is because I'm going to do 2 things. 1, I'm going to beat Danielle Smith in the UCP. 2, I'm going to clean up the mess. But that means we have to work together and we have to be patient. There are so many fractured and broken systems because of the poor governance, which means we are all going to have to work together as Albertans. We're going to have to work together in the judicial system, in the healthcare system, in the education system, because we believe in a prosperous, beautiful Alberta for future generations. It's not about us. It's about our grandchildren. We need to make sure that there is food for their bellies and that there is water for crops and water to drink, which is why it's essential that we manage our water and be innovative and invest in innovation and invest in renewables and reduce our carbon and do the work that the rest of the world is doing. There is no reason for us not to be competitive in the global market. We are Albertans. We are New Democrats. We have fundamental beliefs in taking care of one another. No one gets left behind, and that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Sarah?
Since I didn't have a chance to rebut something that was just said, I'm going to do it in my closing. 34% more Calgarians voted NDP in the last election than ever voted for Mr. Nenshi for mayor. It's a fact. People are more used to voting NDP in Calgary. It's honest. This is the truth.
Not true.
And I'm going to stand up.
Go on.
I'm going to stand up for the volunteers who are in this room, and I'm going to say that it's the volunteers of this province who make this party amazing. They have gone to bat for us each and every time right here in Lethbridge. They've proven 3 elections in a row that Lethbridge is an NDP city. I hope you've seen some of my sass and some of my bold ideas tonight. I'm going to bring 1,000 doctors back to Alberta. I'm going to make sure that kids can breathe the air on a warm summer's day, and I'm going to make sure that people can afford to pay their rent and that there are fewer people living on the streets. I'm Sarah Hoffman. I'm a very proud New Democrat, and I am ready to lead our party. I've knocked on hundreds of thousands of doors with you. I've raised money with you. I've recruited candidates and volunteers with you. And you are the reason, all of you in this room, why we've won Lethbridge 3 times in a row, Lethbridge West. You're the reason why we're going to win Lethbridge East. You're the reason why we're going to win both seats in Medicine Hat. And then Cardston, I'm coming for you next.
Thank you. Gil?
As a union leader in Alberta, I'm used to being underestimated. When I was co-chair of the province's Energy Diversification Advisory Committee, we had a world-renowned business investment guru on the committee named Leo de Beaver.
Yes.
After working with me for a few months, he said, "You're not what I expected." And then together we went on to make recommendations that attracted billions of dollars in investment and created thousands of jobs for Albertans. Something similar happened to me last year when I worked with our unions in oil and gas and construction and manufacturing to develop a blueprint for diversifying the Alberta economy. I took that report to Ottawa and I presented it to Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland. And after working with me for a few months, she said, "You're not what I expected." Then she introduced investment tax credits that will attract billions of dollars in investment and create thousands of jobs here in Alberta. And just this week, on Tuesday, in Medicine Hat, I made a presentation on our vision for economic diversification, and after that presentation, a rocked-ribbed conservative who works in oil and gas came up to me, and you know what he said? You're not what I expected. To win working Albertans back, to win outside the big cities, we have to be not what they expect, and it might just be the job for an Alberta farm kid who grew up to be a union leader, who has made a career out of being not what people expect.
Thank you.
Let me pause it there for just a second. Did you notice that each candidate is gleefully applauding the other?
Yes.
All of them
And
are up there gleefully applauding him.
yes, and for him in this particular instance, because there was a couple of times, he went over time and didn't have a chance to finish his debate, for him to finish strong like that,
Yeah.
good stuff.
No matter who wins the seat, the position, every person on that stage will support them.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. See, an embarrassment of riches, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
An embarrassment of riches to choose from.
Okay, let's keep rolling.
Nahid.
Gil, you're not what I expected. I grew up here. I grew up very poor in a first-generation family that didn't have anything. And we had strong family, we had strong faith, we had strong values, but everything we have today is because this community and this province believed in us. Public education, public health care, public transit, public libraries, even public swimming pools. All of that contributed to me being who I am now. And yes, I did win 3 elections as mayor of Calgary. Yes, I have more votes than any other candidate in Alberta, first, second, and third place. But that's not what this is about. What this is in fact about is telling Albertans that we can dream of better. And what is amazing for me in the last 6 weeks is the thousands and thousands of Albertans across this province who've come not for this handsome face, but because they feel a sense of optimism again in a politics that doesn't have space for it today. My campaign slogan is "For Alberta, for all of us." But the key words are not Alberta and all as I thought they would be. The word that has the most power for our friends and neighbors in Alberta is that tiny word "for." We've been conditioned to be against Ottawa, against each other, against LGBTQ kids, against frontline workers, nurses, and teachers and doctors. And it's time for us to be for one another, for Alberta, for all of us.
Thank you. Kathleen.
Thank you, Loa. This has been an incredible conversation about the kind of future we want to build. For me, the conversation is very personal. It's about the world I want for my daughter. We build that world by working together. After all, there are no shortcuts, especially for New Democrats in Alberta. No one knows that better than my campaign co-chair, Shannon Phillips, and the incredible team right here in Lethbridge. As your leader, I will do what I have always done. I will stand shoulder to shoulder with you and knock on thousands of doors. And when we get to those doors, we will have a real offer on the economy because our ideas on the economy are better. The UCP is telling us that this is what a good economy feels like, but their story is a lie. Too many young people have given up on their dream of home ownership. And this generation may lead shorter lives than the one before them. My daughter has big dreams and a big imagination. I see it in her eyes every single day. She deserves better. All of our kids do. No matter what brought you here tonight, I ask for your support. With me as your leader, we will fight for every inch, every single day. Because our children are counting on us, and there is nothing more tenacious than a mother fighting for her kids.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all the candidates, and thank you again for being so respectful. And I want to wish you all the best of luck. And if we can have one more final applause for our candidates.
All right. So there you go. some applause from me as well. Well done, candidates. Um,
Indeed.
I
You needed
watched
to.
the
Oh, sorry.
debate.
Go
I
ahead.
watched the debate and felt good when it was done.
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't feel like you needed to take a shower, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Boof. Mind blown. So yeah, we have a race. We
Mhm.
have a race. You know what? It may be that Nenshi it just has so far and above
Mhm.
name recognition and is just bringing in so many new members that this is already over. That is possible.
That's possible.
Um,
No matter who wins, the
yeah,
province. There's no losers in this race. There's really no losers. The province wins huge, no matter what. No matter
but
what.
but a debate like this could make it such that he doesn't win on the first ballot because there's enough there for everyone to like.
Mhm.
Nobody
Oh yeah.
disqualified themselves.
No. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I am. Really happy. Hey, Kit Pete, Aussie Pete's here in the chat with us. Nice to see you, my friend. Yeah, I I'm impressed. I just have to say I'm impressed. I'm actually happy to bring this to you kids. Exactly, Kit and Toronto Dan. This is inspiring. Kit Carroll, there's a lot of good people. Absolutely, absolutely. So I am hoping that all five candidates are able to make the next $20,000 threshold because I want to see all five of them again, and I want to see them scrap a little more, a little more. Um, but yeah, this was good. This was good. We need much more of this. Much more of this.
Indeed.
All right. So while progressive people in Alberta have a lot to celebrate, and we will live them with that. I believe there are two other debates also scheduled: one for Calgary, one for Edmonton. Kathleen Ganley has requested that there would be three more because she feels, and she does have a point, that if they are going to make a concerted effort to actually put rural issues on the map and try to get out of just Calgary and Edmonton, um, it would probably be the good idea to have at least one debate in a really rural area because um, I'm not, even though Lethbridge is not Calgary and Edmonton, I doubt there are many people in Lethbridge who would consider themselves to be rural.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
It's a small municipality,
Mhm.
right? It's a small city.
Mhm.
It is. It is for that part where it is. That's the urban area, right? So, and to show that they were really serious, I would do at least two. That they
There's
weren't
about
just
100,000 people, I think. As of 2016, there were 92,730. I don't know what the current population is, but it's probably, in that neighborhood of 100,000.
yeah. So it's just a little smaller than Kingston,
Yeah.
right? So it's not a big city, but it's certainly not rural, right? So it might be a
2021
good idea.
population, 98,406. Municipal census is 106,550.
Yeah,
So 2020 estimate, 100,000 people. So there you go. That's not a small town at all.
yeah. So I think it would be a good idea for them to have one more, at least in somewhere that is actually small.
Mhm.
And if they wanted to show that they were serious, not just doing lip service, they would have two. I'm
Yes.
not sure they have to have three, but I think that they would do two. One somewhere up north, and maybe somewhere either east or south, east or west, rural east or west in the province. Because I mean, even though, again, Lethbridge is not rural, at least they went a little bit south of Calgary there for that. Uh, I assume that's South of Calgary. Actually, I, I am confidently saying that Lethbridge is south of Calgary without actually knowing, but I would assume that that's where it is. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Um, so we're going to move away from the debate to something else. I don't know if you have something that you would want to throw in before I
I
move to
do.
something else, Mr. Grizzly?
I
Okay.
do.
Okay.
We're going to start with this from Rachel Gilmore. I'm going to show you the tweet and then we're going to watch the video because this is something else. So here's the tweet. Let me just blow this up a bit so it's easier to see for both myself and for everybody online. I'm going to read it out loud for the audible version. New, the encampment Pierre Poilievre visited has had closer ties to Diagolon than anyone has previously reported.
Oh, yay.
I've got the proof. So it might be time to walk back some op-eds and hot takes. Here's what's going on, and I'm going to blow this up. We're going to watch the 2-minute clip from Rachel.
Do I ever have an update for you? 2 days ago, Pierre Poilievre visited a Freedom Convoy-style encampment, where, as I reported in yesterday's video, he glad-handed people flying F. Trudeau flags and told them everyone is happy with what they're doing. He also hung out in an RV that had a Diagolon flag drawn on the side. You know, the far-right extremists I've reported on at length, including them laughing on a live stream at people in India being brutally killed by trains, interviewing actual neo-Nazis, and much, much more. Anyways, in the 24 hours since, a lot of people have tried to diminish this, saying things like, hey, it's just a whittle squibble. Who cares? But I did a little more digging, and it looks like the ties between Diagolon and the merry little gathering Poilievre visited go deeper than that scribble. Take, for example, this woman who was live streaming and posting from the encampment within the last handful of days. This is her previous cover photo. I'm sorry, what does that say on her hoodie? Oh, and I recognize that guy. That's Jeremy Mackenzie, the leader of Diagolon. She liked this photo so much, she posted it multiple times. Oh, and here, right here, in this post where the guy who filmed Poilievre on site is making it very clear they have nothing to do with Diagolon, he tagged his buddy Sam. This Sam who said, Pierre Poilievre, thanks for stopping by my trailer. And clarifies he does not enjoy the Diagolon Leaders podcast, the one he knew by name. But Sam, did you forget you posted this? There's that Diagolon hoodie again. And what's that caption? Oh, it's you tagging Jeremy Mackenzie saying this person is keeping you fed and ready for action. Once again, here is that same guy live streaming from that border site. So did Poilievre know he was visiting an encampment with ties to Diagolon? Not necessarily, no. But even though Diagolon hate Poilievre, its leader threatened to assault Poilievre's wife, and they mock him regularly, he's still pandering to folks who travel in the same circles. And I just gave you even more proof of that. So feel free to correct your op-eds and hot takes about this little scribble. What do you think of all this?
And I know, James, what you're saying. Diagolon isn't an organized group. It's a logo and a bunch of losers who sometimes do a podcast. Kareem went over all of this thoroughly, except this report lists Diagolon as an extremist group. This is an American report. This is who our leader of the opposition hangs out with after the leader joked about raping his wife. Canada, the United States Department of State. Yeah, it's all here. Oh, and not just them think that, by the way. There are organizations in this country that also fall in line with that statement. CSEC, or CSE, I should say, CSIS, RCMP, and CBSA all fall along with that. Now, here's the other thing to remember. The Proud Boys started as a joke by Gavin McInnes.
Right.
It's not a joke anymore. It may have, Diagolon started out as a joke, but there are people who are committed to it, who are armed, who have encampments, and are ready to do bad things.
Yeah. And the issue here is not so much whether or not they are an organized group or not, in reality or not. The issue at play is that the man who is temperamentally unfit for the position he seeks, but seeks to lead a G7 nation and to rule or reign over us, is actively courting their approval.
Correct.
So, organized group or not, the people that were there at the side of the road think they are part of something like, and he made a point to stop. He says it was impromptu. I have a hard time believing that.
Well,
And
no, I don't have a hard time believing that.
I do.
Oh, well, that's fine.
I do. He's in that part of the area. There's again, these people have teams. If there is an encampment, that encampment was going on for 28 days by the time he got there. Somebody picked it up on media monitoring.
Oh, yeah, that's entirely probable, yes. Whether or not they plan to stop is where I say that might be coincidental.
Yeah. Well,
They might have said, oh, by the way, Pierre, we're coming up upon this encampment. Oh, pull over.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at.
That might be possible, but my guess is probably not. My guess is, hey, on the way back, we're going to pull over, and this was planned before, because sloppy and messy and as disheveled and staggering as he was, I have a hard time believing that somebody would have said, no, you're in no condition to be stopping there right now. So that's what makes me say I don't think it was all that impromptu.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. That could very well be the case. Yeah.
No, we're doing this. We said we're going to do this. We're doing this.
Yeah. You could very well be right. I don't know. It's all speculation, right?
Yeah. These people's days are planned. And if it was really impromptu, that he thought was a good idea is a bad look, and that nobody in his car stopped him. I mean, he had his whole crew there to film it.
Yeah. Well,
that was impromptu.
The footage we've seen is not from his crew.
No, that's not true. That's not true. You're right. Sorry. Those images came from Diagolon people.
That's right. It was not his crew.
Sorry. I made the mistake. They filmed it.
Correct.
How you know that the Conservative Party knows that they stepped on it is that you will not find any of this footage at all.
No.
On Pierre Poilievre's Twitter feed.
None.
Nor the Conservative Party of Canada's Twitter feed. Now, why would you make the point to stop there, where you know these people film everything and you know you're going to go viral, but not want to put it on your own page? Just like when you had denounced the 3 MPs, 3 members of your caucus that decided to sit down and have brunch with Christine Anderson, your repudiation came through Brian Lilly says you said, but there was nothing on your Twitter feed, the Conservative Party Twitter feed, or nothing on official party letterhead, because once again, you did with her like you did with Alex Jones. We don't pay attention to that individual because you don't want to say their name.
This comment from James here is what I'm more concerned about, right? I'm concerned about a human being who I think is struggling with a substance abuse problem, number one. Number two, was going to do whatever. I'm not a leader of the party. I'm going anyway. I don't know if he knew how those people are involved with Diagolon or not. I don't think he did, to be honest with you. I don't think he did. I think he was intoxicated and just wanted to score a couple of points with these folks for some bizarre reason.
You're 20 points ahead. You don't need to do this.
I don't get it. It does not help his cause because people seeing it are going, good God, man, I don't want that guy representing our nation on the world stage. He's a drunken fool. And again, if he has an alcohol abuse program, I hope he gets the help he needs. Because after all, even though he is a terrible human being and I hate him, he's still a human being, and if he needs help, I hope he gets it. I hope he gets it. And I mean that sincerely.
Yep, me too. So yeah, this is this one's gonna stick. This one's gonna stick. People are asking questions. People are not comfortable with this. This is not. This is sloppy. The move is sloppy, and he looked sloppy when he was doing it. None of this is Prime Minister material. None of this is Prime Minister material. And like I said on the show yesterday, none of this screams our internal polling shows that we are actually leading by 20. You don't do that. You don't do that. So, yeah, I'm. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. We talked a little bit because we were talking Alberta. We were talking wildfires and stuff a little bit. There have been a couple of developments in British Columbia. Well, actually, probably should start in Alberta, but my computer is just a little slow here, kits and cubs, so I am technically stretching here to be able to bring the stuff up. But
Well, why don't
greater
you
than
say so? I've got
there you
something
go.
to celebrate here in Ottawa. It's the
I've got it now.
oh, hang on. This is a quick bite, real
Okay.
quick. It's something to celebrate here in Ottawa. It's Egg Roll Day. Half price
Woohoo!
egg rolls at Golden Palace Restaurant. The best egg rolls in town. Happy anniversary, Golden Palace egg rolls. The line has
Woohoo!
already started for the half price egg rolls, and this was at 8:00. So
Damn.
almost 40 minutes ago, the lineup started for half price egg rolls. If you live in Ottawa and you know what the Golden Palace egg rolls are, you know why people are lining up. Stuntman Stu, our friend my buddy Stuntman Stu, loved them so much that when he was when he was the arena announcer for the Ottawa Senators at the Canadian Tire Centre or Scotiabank Place or whatever the hell it was called at the time, he loved them so much and promoted them so much that the Sens got Golden Palace to start distributing their egg rolls in the stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love.
best egg rolls in town.
Mademoiselle
They
Fox
really do.
says Golden Palace sponsored by Suns Freestyle Ski Team. They are awesome, and the egg rolls too.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. There you go. So we're talking about wildfires. Greater than 60 wildfires are burning in Alberta. Only one was threatening homes, about a dozen homes in the municipal district of Peace River 135, they call it. I don't know why the number is there, but it's called Peace River 135. Northwest of Edmonton was affected. José Saint-Onge of the Alberta Wildfire Service said that conditions are very dry in the area. Quote, we need significant and continued rain to overcome the drought conditions that we are experiencing across many parts of the province. Forestry and Parks Minister Todd Loewen says that new fire bans are coming, but he advised Albertans living near forests to take steps to protect their properties. Quote, I urge you to assess your property for wildfire danger and take preventive action you can to address these risks. And when he's talking about preventive action, he's talking about things like removing trees that are close to homes or keeping your gutters and your roofs clear. In British Columbia, there was a wildfire evacuation underway in the community of Chetwynd, a 10-kilometer stretch of Highway 97, at least yesterday, I'm not sure if that's still the case today, was closed between Chetwynd, British Columbia, and Prince George, which made it a little harder to address the fire. Sharon Nicol with the Prince George Fire Center mentioned that the local RCMP and Chetwynd fire departments were undertaking a tactical quote, local RCMP and the Chetwynd Fire Department are undertaking a tactical evaluation upon recommendation of BC Wildfire Services. So they were getting folks that were on that far west end reaches out of the area, just out of interest for public safety, which is our primary concern. About 30 people that were forced from their homes were able to return. According to the news following, officials say that the fire is not moving towards the community and that they did get a little bit of rain, which did help with that. The evacuation was downgraded to an alert, and according to the wildfire service in the Prince George area, it is also bone dry in that region after almost 2 years of persistent drought. With dozens of wildfires still smoldering underground, as we've mentioned before in that area. So first evacuations of the wildfire season have taken place. So far, no damage. fortunately, and people have been able to return home. Just to remind you, Kits and Cubs, as the wildfire season is growing, in case any of you are affected or know somebody who is affected while they are in evacuation, if they are low on electricity, low on bandwidth or battery power, but they still need to be able to get information, please remind them that CBC has a website called cbc.ca/lite, L-I-T-E, which doesn't have images and graphics and lots of stuff, so it loads very quickly, uses up a little bit of bandwidth, uses up only a little bit of your data. So have people directed there so that they can remain able to access the most up-to-date information where they are if they are in an evacuation situation. Okay, that's another very, very vital service that our national public broadcaster provides for us that Skippy wants to axe. Just so you know, right? Comes in very handy. All right. In also in news here in Canada, since we're talking about Alberta, the government of Alberta did something that is very, 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 very disconcerting and frightening. They announced
we call that any day of the week.
Yeah.
Do they do something terrifying and frightening and lies and so yes, every day that ends in Y.
Yes. You know how in Ontario, even though he's the premier, Doug Ford seems to really still want to be the mayor of Toronto at the same time, and the mayor of Ottawa at the same time. And then he did all those strong mayor powers. Well, it seems that the government of Alberta wants similar abilities to be able to completely control the municipalities. But I think they learned a lesson from Doug Ford and decided, you know what? Yeah, we're not going to go the strong mayors route because, as we saw with John Tory and Olivia Chow, sometimes the mayors we want to be strong aren't exactly the best at keeping public and private separate, which results in a change of mayors.
So let's roll the clip.
Results in those powers not being used in the way that we would like. This is, I'm gonna guess, the Minister of Municipal Affairs. Yeah.
Let's roll the clip. Come on.
I know you've talked about consulting with municipalities, with stakeholders of associations, but we've heard very loudly from municipalities for months, if not a year, specifically talking against this idea of political parties in municipal elections. So should the takeaway be that that consultation didn't matter?
I think quite the opposite. I think we've shown amazing evidence today that it did matter. At one time, we considered doing this for all municipalities, and out of 330, we're down to 2. 70% of people don't like it. 98% of municipalities won't have it. I'd say we listen pretty hard.
Okay.
Anyone else in the room?
No. Yeah. First of all, the person handling the call seemed rather exasperated because this guy literally said, hey, it's only applying to 2 municipalities out of 330, so I'd say we listen. It's only the 2 municipalities where 80% of Albertans live.
Yeah. The 2 we are maddest at, basically.
Yes. Apparently, the entire press conference was filled with gems like that. Very flippantly delivered gems like that. That's Minister of Municipal Affairs, Rick McIver. According to our good friends at CBC, Michelle Bellefontaine, she says in her report on this, municipalities, including granting cabinet the power to remove councillors from office and forcing councils to repeal bylaws. A new bill would give the Alberta government more power over municipalities, including granting cabinet the power to remove councillors from office and forcing councils to repeal bylaws the province doesn't like. Bill 20, the Municipal Affairs Statutes Amendment, was tabled in the legislature Thursday afternoon. The bill would also allow the creation of municipal political parties, but it comes in the form of a pilot project only affecting Edmonton and Calgary. Bill 20 proposes many other changes to the Local Authorities Election Act and Municipal Government Act to reinforce the province's authority over municipalities. Gee, Danielle really doesn't want the federal government dealing directly with municipalities for infrastructure housing.
Basically what they're saying is, we're going to do to you whatever we want. There's not a damn thing you can do about it. We're throwing democracy right out the window. That's what they're saying.
She's basically going, look at me. Look at me. I'm the mayor now.
So the premier of the province of Alberta is trying to become a full-on dictator.
Yep.
That's not a joke. It's not hyperbolic. It's literally what she's doing.
Your municipal vote no longer counts. If passed, the bill would allow Cabinet to call a public referendum on the fate of a municipal councillor. Gee, I wonder which one they have in mind. The mayor of Calgary, perhaps? Maybe the mayor of Edmonton. They don't like these liberal mayors, so hey, the cities are the creations of our province. Let's just dispense with democracy and let's allow, whenever we have a mayor that stands up to us or doesn't want to cooperate, we'll just have Cabinet call a public referendum on the fate of a municipal councillor. Or, well, hey, maybe we'll even just unilaterally remove them from office because we've deemed, your betters and your rulers, have deemed that we know better than you what's in the public interest as to who should be your councillor or your mayor at the level of government that is the most directly involved in your daily life.
Level of dictatorship. Complete dictatorship. I'm sorry. That's what it is. Calling a spade here. It is a dictatorship.
Yep. There are no legislative guardrails or limits for when that can happen, but the decision can be appealed to the Court of the King's Bench. Oh, wow, how magnanimous of you.
Oh, did we lose? Oh, it seems we lost Mr. Beaver there for a sec. I don't know what happened. You jumped in and out, sir. I don't know what happened.
So have them going, hey, you know what? We decide your term is over. Your term is over. Hey, if we ever should do that, well, then, yeah, you're free to incur tens of thousands of dollars in legal costs to try to maintain your position. Especially when we consider them like in most municipalities, how being a city councillor isn't like a
Oh my. Sorry about that. Oh my. Sorry. I didn't know what happened. Sorry, I went to get a coffee. I didn't realize you got knocked offline there. Sorry.
As soon as you got up, I don't know if you pressed something as you got up or bumped.
I didn't touch anything. All I did was mute my mic and I turned up the speakers so I could hear you. And I was in the kitchen talking and I'm like, why can't I hear Douglas speaking? That's very strange. I come back. Oh, for some reason you jumped in and out twice there, I guess. Eh?
Yeah.
Not by your choice. It just
Nope.
happened.
Yeah. Beaver, go
Wow.
bye-bye.
Well, I apologize to everybody for that minute of, but you got a lovely wall to stare at for a couple of minutes.
We'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in post. Yeah. We
You had about 2 minutes of this.
Yes. We better take a note, though, however, when we do the podcast version.
Don't worry, I'll see it.
Because people will wonder what happened to the show.
It's easy for me to see. I'll fix it in the audio. I'll leave it in for the repeat cast, though, because I think it's funny. Kyle just sent me a message. Dead air, dude. I'm just like,
I know.
apologies.
I was like, hello, let me know if you can still hear me because I'll keep talking. And nothing happened. Then I saw everybody go, ooh, dead air. Oh.
Usually what happens is I'll just, I need another coffee, and Bridget will bring me one, right? And it's not me hinting to her to bring me a coffee. She's watching the show and she'll come and get me a coffee. And she's like, I was going to get you one. I'm like, no, I needed to get up for a minute, stretch my legs and my back and that. So anyway, yeah. Let me just hang on to you. Don't hit anything. Look, see it. Coffee on my keyboard.
Would you like me to adjust the settings at all on your
Don't touch a damn thing.
electronical devices?
No.
Hi, Douglas.
Hi.
You don't. And you just scronkled my mic. Jesus, woman.
All right.
Scronkled my mic, grabs it, just takes over. I'll have to get some dialing music in the future. Or we just go. We can go with this each. And here's the breaking news. Here's the breaking news.
That's breaking the news. I'm not.
Here's breaking news. So I was talking to a boy today and called him dude, and he goes, "Hey, I'm not your dude. I want to go by bro." And the very first thing that popped into my head was, wow, he has preferred pronouns. That's funny. That's funny, right? That is funny.
Love it. Love it. All right. Back to what Danielle Smith is trying to screw Albertans. So while there are no guardrails or limits for when calling a public referendum on the fate of a municipal councillor or unilaterally removing them from offices, if old Danieller determines that it's in the public interest, Municipal Affairs Rick Byver insisted that the provision would be rarely used.
Sure.
Rarely used because every single councillor now is going to fall in line because they don't want to lose their job, because they dared say, we disagree. Quote, first of all, I hope it never has to happen. But second of all, if it does, then it will be incumbent upon Cabinet to have a really good explanation for the public. Yeah, because that's been a hallmark of your government so far.
Yeah. Well, from Global Edmonton, it said a bill tabled in Alberta legislature Thursday, because there's other things in here I didn't know about, would give the province the right to fire councillors. That I knew about. Overturn bylaws. Didn't know that.
Yep.
Postpone elections and allow political parties to run on municipal ballots in Edmonton, Calgary.
Yep.
Now, the last part I knew about, I didn't know they were allowed to postpone. But Trudeau's the dictator, right? Hey, Alberta, you're bitching about Trudeau saying he's a dictator? Your premier is one. Welcome to the party.
Yep.
Cabinet
Cabinet has had the power to force municipal councils to amend or repeal land use bylaws and statutory plans for 30 years. Bill 20 extends that power to all bylaws passed by councils. So, for example, if you had a mask mandate municipally, for example.
One of those little chestnuts, right?
Yes. Or if you decided, if your school board trustees decided to, hey, we're going to spend money on HEPA filters.
Yeah.
Then Danielle decides that, no, you don't need to spend money on that, for example. McIver said the current amendment.
Or invest money in public education by, hiring more teachers.
Yes.
Didn't we just hear about that in the NDP debate? Leaders debate about it?
Yeah. McIver said the current amendment power has never been used, so the public shouldn't worry about the government having an itchy trigger finger. Cabinet would also gain the ability to tell municipalities what to do in protecting public health and safety. There you go. That's what it's really about. Although the government already exercised that authority in 2022 when it prohibited cities and towns from passing or extended their own masking bylaws. Other measures proposed in Bill 20 include allowing unions and corporations to make donations of up to $5,000 to municipal candidates, a measure that was outlawed for provincial candidates in 2015. Banning the use of electronic voting machines like tabulators in municipal elections. Limiting the practice of vouching only to confirming someone's address, not their identity and age as currently allowed. Given the Municipal Affairs Minister the power to validate recall petitions, not a municipality CAO who reports directly to Council. This was something requested by smaller municipalities. Allowing the province to make regulations to postpone elections in the case of an emergency or natural disaster, such as a wildfire. That's reasonable. Making orientation training mandatory for councillors. Giving municipalities the power to require criminal record checks for candidates. However, this provision is not mandatory. Exempt nonprofit subsidized affordable housing from paying property taxes. Prohibiting municipalities from holding more public hearings than legally required. This measure prevents municipal councils from purposely delaying initiatives. And municipalities will be limited in how they can ask developers for non-statutory studies. On the preceding one, however, if a subject should require more public hearings than required, now they are prohibited from doing so. So I guess they have a crystal ball where henceforth, if we decide that this only needs 3 public meetings, everything will actually be resolved in 3 public meetings. That they just know beforehand. Okay. Municipal political parties would not be allowed to have the same name or formal affiliations with provincial or federal parties. Big whoop. McIver said studies conducted by the government found the majority of Albertans and municipalities did not want political parties in local government, but hey, you're getting them anyway. Because they've decided that this is good for you. Yes. Aaron Paquette, an Edmonton City Councillor, suggested on social media that the new rules would be a threat to municipal politicians who didn't share the same views as the governing United Conservative Party. Do you think so? Bend the knee or be fired, he asked on X, formerly known as Twitter. Is this democracy? Calgary Mayor Jyoti Gondek expressed concerns about the bill and asked how the government planned to define, quote, public interest when removing a municipal mayor or councillor from office. Are we now in a world where elections can be bought by big money and elections can be overturned by a cabinet that doesn't like the results? She asked in a written statement. The provincial government claims this is intended to ensure that local elections are transparent, fair, and free. We are giving ourselves the power to remove your municipal council if they do something we don't like, just to make sure that your election that put them in that seat was fair, transparent, and free. Yeah. And if you buy that, I got some lovely oceanfront property on the north coast of Alberta for you.
Yeah. The north coast. A thing that actually isn't a thing.
Yeah.
Alberta doesn't have a coast. It's a landlocked province.
Quote, I'm left asking why they have inserted themselves into municipal government in a manner that actually strips the voting public's rights to elect the council they deem to be the best to serve them. Kyle Kazowski, the NDP opposition critic for municipal affairs, said it's inappropriate for the provincial cabinet to decide when to fire a councillor or mayor. Like Paquette, he worried about the bill could affect councillors who may try to make their decisions align with the province's views. Quote, they're worried that they might actually lose their job and not be able to serve the constituents. That's a major problem for our province. If the bill is passed, the province plans to develop regulations by consulting with municipalities in the upcoming months. And if they consult the way that they consulted on this one, what the municipalities will have to say won't matter. The next, sorry. It will matter.
Oh, yes.
We only applied it to 2 out of the 330, so we really listened. The next province-wide municipal elections are scheduled to take place in October 2025. Albertans, Again,
Boy, you really
we
need to change
tried
your government.
to
We tried to
tell
warn you.
for years, and you
Told
thought
you.
that we were just loony lefties who wouldn't allow you to make your own decisions. And once again, as I keep on telling you, we weren't trying to put you down. We were just trying to warn you. We were just trying to warn you.
We were actually here to help. You just didn't want to listen to us because we're, a bunch of fat cats in Ontario. You see, here's the thing. What a lot of people fail to understand about me is that not only were both my sisters born in Alberta, but I have a lot of family there and a lot of friends. I don't identify as an Ontarian. I identify as a Canadian who has lived in Alberta, New Brunswick, Quebec, Newfoundland, and Ontario. I've been across this country multiple times. I love every square inch of it. Or square centimeter, I guess. We are on the metric system, but yeah. I want Alberta to be a place where all Albertans can thrive. And right now, that is not the case. And it is really concerning to me. I'm genuinely worried about what's happening in that province right now. It's you've got a dictator who wants to tell you how to live your life. This is not and as I've said it about
He wants to tell you you voted wrong.
Well, it's about Polyev.
You voted
They
wrong.
do not want to govern. They want to rule over you. They don't want to govern. You voted wrong. I'm telling you how you need to vote. I'm removing this person and installing this one.
There used to be a time where the cardinal rule in politics as a politician is you never told voters last time you voted wrong.
Yeah,
Voters always right.
We're not dealing with well-balanced individuals here. These are people who, and I'm going to take the words from James Carville, believe it in their bones that they are right and you are wrong and will do everything in their power to seek power and hold that power over you because they're convinced you're wrong, they are right, and they're going to force you to follow their ideology. This is a scary territory to be in.
Really is. Really is.
I have the clip, sir.
Yes. Changing lanes a little bit. The Prime Minister, as we mentioned on a previous show, seems to want the fight with the provinces. Now, we've been saying on the show, our premiers are the problem. Hashtag our premiers are the problem. Pass it on. It appears that our Prime Minister is quite aware of that and seems to be adopting the strategy. Usually provincial premiers want to run against the Prime Minister. Seems that he wants to run against the premiers who have clearly decided that, what's going on in the United States, the Freedom Caucus, they've kind of decided that there are Freedom Caucus. They are the people that are going to say no to everything, tell us why we can't do everything, kind of going to say why we can't have nice things, are going to say why it is that for some reason the provinces should have a right to veto the federal government. The Prime Minister seems to be positioning himself for this fight, and this is about a little over 3 minutes of the Prime Minister talking. That caught a lot of people's attention the other day, saying this is really well delivered and a good answer.
The provinces have again written to you asking you to stop the overreach into areas of their jurisdiction and stop attaching conditions to funding. Can you explain why you're treading into provincial responsibilities so much? Is it because you don't believe the provinces are doing their jobs?
On the contrary, we have worked tremendously constructively with provinces over the past few years to deliver things that really matter for Canadians. Take $10 a day childcare. We move forward with historic agreements first signed here with BC to invest in an area that obviously is something that the province has primary carriage over. But we recognize that bringing down childcare prices for people across BC, supporting early childhood educators with better wage grid, and creating more spaces was something the federal government needed to engage in. So we showed up with a lot of money to help BC move forward on childcare. This is something that is great for families in BC. It's great for getting more women into the workforce, and it's great for young people who are doing better when they get to grade 1. These kinds of things are exactly the kind of things where we need to be doing more of. Now, there are certain conservative provinces that have resisted or objected to us showing up with childcare money, but I can tell you, families that I've spoken to right across the country, including in conservative provinces that wouldn't have invested in childcare if it hadn't been for the federal government choosing to step up, are deeply grateful. At the same time as mortgage rates went up for many, many families because of interest rates, they were saving thousands of dollars a month because we cut childcare fees in half. Our focus as a government is on working with provinces to deliver for Canadians. But in areas like the housing crisis, there are certain provinces that are upset. Again, not BC, which actually led the way with the BC Builds program, which we've actually adopted and said, okay, any province that wants to do like BC and put $2 billion towards affordable homes with the BC Builds program, we'll match that $2 billion and make sure that even more gets done. That's the way the Federation should be working. But when I hear provinces upset because we're signing deals with big cities, putting money in the city's coffers so that they can increase density, so they can build more homes faster, invest in affordability, I know that's what needs to happen. And provinces that are not being ambitious on housing, well, people in their provinces still deserve to have solutions to the housing crisis, even if the province doesn't want to step up with the same level of ambition. So I am unabashed about saying I am ambitious to solve problems for Canadians right across the country. I am ambitious about investing in solutions to make sure our economy is fair for every generation. I'm going to work where I can in partnership with provinces that want to, like BC and others have, and places where they want to block the kinds of investments that are going to help Canadians. I'm just going to try and figure out ways to help Canadians directly as necessary. I'd always rather work with provinces, but if we have to, I will go around them and be there for Canadians, because this economy deserves young Canadians getting the support they need.
Well, that was didn't attack anybody. Had no notes. Just went in and did the thing. That was impressive. Did the thing and said the thing, all the things that needed to be said in a clear, concise way that explains it for everybody. You can join the chat there. Sorry, my beloved's computer died, so she's using my phone to join the chat. Yeah, that was impressive.
That's very impressive. And then here he is again, Mr. Grizzly, with regard to Scott Moe and the CRA.
Okay.
Again, perfectly willing and seemingly eager to take on another fight with the premiers.
Despite the disagreement I have with the provincial government here in Saskatchewan on them not wanting to pay the federal government what is owed, the Canada carbon rebate checks going to families in Saskatchewan will not be impacted by the government of Saskatchewan's decision. We're going to continue to deliver the Canada carbon rebate to families right across Saskatchewan, despite the fact that Premier Moe is not sending that money to Ottawa right now. Canada Revenue Agency has ways of ensuring that money that is owed to them is eventually collected, and we have faith in the rigorous quasi-judicial proceedings that the Canada Revenue Agency uses. Despite the
I believe that was his version of just watch me.
Yeah, I think so.
Just
I would agree with that.
hear him say it.
I know. We all want to
Just
hear the
once.
line, right? We
Just
all want to hear
once.
the line.
Just once.
Yeah.
Say it. Say it. Say it. The anticipation is killing me. Say it.
I know.
Just say it.
I know.
But then
They
again,
all want to hear it. Yeah.
I know, but then again, during the convoy, I wanted him to come off on Parliament Hill and say,
Well,
"Get
yeah.
on my lawn."
That was Locke, and Locke was like, "I'd vote for him if he did that." I'm like, you know what? That would have been badass. Here's the thing. It's not his lawn.
I know, but still.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, the Prime Minister, I'm feeling, perhaps has very few, pardon my language, fucks left to give.
So it would appear, yeah.
Because you know what? If you guys are going to make me wear it regardless, then I'm going to swing back. And given that the provinces don't really have that much to offer because they're not willing to do the work, they're like just really not interested in doing the work whatsoever. They just want to attack him. That's why I keep on saying, for example, that climate meeting that they keep on asking for, they may get it, but they'll only get it after the Prime Minister has a deal signed with Premier Canoe and possibly also Premier Houston, that he could show up at the table and say, "See, it can be done." I don't know why we're small, Mr. Grizzly, on the frame.
Oh, I did that intentionally, so I guess somebody was asking for a screen grab.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. See, I've got two right here. So all of you who came here with your classic can't do attitude, it can be done. So show me your plan. I would not be surprised if they did get their meeting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
We're holding out.
Oh, yeah. No, agreed.
But as we often say in global affairs, the meeting will happen at a time and a location and with an agenda of my choosing.
Well,
so just call the bluff, man. Call the bluff. Have that meeting. Show it. Make it clear that they've got nothing. Make it clear that they've got nothing.
well, and let's go one step further on that one. Let's go one step further.
Okay.
This is Andrew Scheer. I'm going to show you what he posted here.
Not
Talked
her.
about it earlier. Talked about it earlier, and I'm going to show you the posting right now. It's this is what he posted to Twitter. Andrew Scheer, Trudeauing. I'll just leave this here. Analysis: child poverty is on the rise in Canada, putting over 1 million kids at risk. Okay, so this is childlike behavior. Typical conservative jerk posting a misleading headline and not linking the whole article. While you asshats voted against school lunches programs, Liberals lifted 500,000 children out of poverty with the Canada Child Tax Benefit, which you also voted against. Pierre Poilievre says kids are begging Santa for food mere hours before voting against a national framework to establish a school food program.
Right.
Hypocrisy. Thy name is Conservative Party of Canada. It's like they're so bad at this. Oh, I don't like what you did. Here, look at this. You voted against the program that we initiated to try and help people. It's so bad. I can't even, they're so bad at this.
Yes.
I mean, they have great comms people, but on their own, they're horrible.
Yep.
It's not even a challenge.
Yep.
just so bad at this on their comms people are great. That is not up for debate. Their comms people are great. Their members of parliament are a bunch of ill-informed, uneducated idiots, it would appear. Because my goodness gracious. My goodness.
Yep.
Children are starving under Trudeau. You guys voted against the program to feed them.
Yeah.
They're starving because you made it that way.
Yeah.
You did that.
Yeah.
You're going to blame him when he tried to help them and you said no?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think we should call up Funk and Wagnalls and say, under hypocrisy, could you just post a photo of Andrew Scheer, please? That's it. That's all we need to do. Hypocrisy. Oh yeah, that idiot. Yeah, okay, I know what it is now. I know what it is now.
Yep.
Jesus Christ almighty.
Yep.
Give me the strength.
Sir? Yes.
Give me the strength to not smack the living shit out of people for the stupidity that goes on. Look at the problem you caused. You voted against my program to feed children. You voted against $10 daycare. You voted against dental care. You voted against pharmacare. You voted against the school lunch program. You voted against the Child Canada tax benefit.
Yes. And then listen to me talk about how it's so terrible that we have all these inflationary, expensive programs because we're going to be passing on the debt to the children. It's like, if you don't feed the kids, you're also passing on a debt to the children.
Yeah.
It's just which debt you want to pass over, buddy.
There's going to be debts to pay, period. Of some type. It's going to happen. That's all there is
We
to it.
can't feed the children. Think of the children.
Here's the other thing to think about, too. You're passing the debt on to my children. Yeah, that we inherited your grandparents and great-grandparents' debt as well, and we're still paying it off, and we will be paying it off because we're a country that is going to live longer than any one of us.
Every generation has left a debt for the next generation to pay and a mess for them to clean up.
Period.
Every single one. We're not special.
What's the question, Michael? Go ahead and ask. I'm happy to answer it.
God. Oh, I can't believe it. Yeah, Kit Michael, I'd like to call a question about something you shared earlier this week. Yeah, ask away, my friend.
Ask away. I'm happy to answer.
There
I'll tell you anything you want to hear. How does that go? I'll give you anything you ask for it, as long as I'm willing to give it. That was a line from Billy Bob Thornton's character of the president in Love Actually.
Yeah. While we're waiting for that, I sent you another clip.
Yeah, I have it. It's loaded up. This is former Bank of Canada and former Bank of England Governor Mark Carney.
Now rebranded as carbon tax Carney by the Conservative Party of Canada.
Yes. And they said, what, the Liberal leader in waiting?
Yeah, the successor.
Yeah, okay.
The successor, yes.
Some right-wing populists that see current anxieties as an opportunity to stoke anger because anger is what's necessary for their project. After all, people don't demolish things when they're positive or optimistic. I know this. I know this from my time in the UK, where for years the rallying cry of Brexiters was broken Britain. And their solution to take back control was actually code for tear down your future. So while Brexiters promised that they were going to create Singapore on the Thames, the Truss government actually delivered Argentina on the Channel.
Ooh.
Broken Britain. Does that sound familiar? When politicians claim our great democracies are broken, it's not because they want to fix them. It's because they want a license to demolish. And it's a model that's been used time and time again. Create an external constraint to starve the beast of government in a misguided view that slashing will lead to growing. Starving the Beast was Pierre Poilievre's reflexive response to COVID. He saw a humanitarian catastrophe, and that's what it was, a catastrophe as another chance to slash spending and cut taxes. And remember that. When he shouts, "Axe the tax," he's really whispering, "Can the plan," and leaving us with nothing. Demolition is not a plan. And slogans, denials, and defeatism won't make our businesses more competitive, and they won't grow jobs at home. This sort of Pavlovian, and I've seen it time and time again, this Pavlovian reaction of extreme conservatives to every problem is grounded in a basic misunderstanding of what drives economies. And those with little experience of the private sector, lifelong politicians masquerading as free marketeers, grossly undervalue the importance of mission, institutions, and discipline to a strong economy. So, thankfully, there is a third option. A politics defined by making this a time to build. That means mission-oriented capitalism, grounded in values, combining resilience, purpose, and dynamism of the private sector so that Canada can seize the advantages in this hinge moment. Because when Canada is at its best, when we're at our best, we build things that last. Healthcare, schools, opportunity, sustainability, prosperity. So how do we do it? Well, for me, it starts with taking the economic agenda, taking it back and making it everyone's. Because prosperity is certainly not trickle down, but neither is it top down. Instead, strong, inclusive, and balanced growth is everything, everywhere, all at once.
Well, that, I think that sums it up pretty well, eh?
Yep. Now, he might have to develop a little more charisma and dynamism if he wants to make a run for it.
Very much Michael Ignatieff, right? But the thing is, he is the smartest guy in every room he's in.
Yep.
And I have heard that from so many people who've worked with him, said, no, he's the smartest guy in the room and he doesn't lord that over you.
And a banker with a heart.
He actually is. But he is the smartest guy in any room he's in. And again, he doesn't hold that over you because he can actually talk to people. He understands the situation. Is he going to run for office? I don't think so. By all measures, he doesn't want it. And he said time and time again, he doesn't want the job.
Mm-hmm.
So, time will tell. We don't know. It's tough to say. You don't know what's in his heart or his mind.
Yeah. I don't know. But we could do worse.
We could do a lot worse. We know who that would be. Right.
Yep. Indeed.
I have one quick clip for you, sir, that just before we wrap up, because I got a meeting in a couple minutes, but I thought I would share this. It's 57 seconds. I don't know if this is parody or not. It's from Trump's potential attorney general pick, Mike Davis. This is from, I guess, a podcast. I don't know the program that he was on, but we'll watch it and then we'll talk about it for a couple of minutes before I got to go. This is really bizarre.
Mike, I've never called for lava to rain down from the heavens, but maybe upon Washington, D.C. Would you be that sweet red hot lava for us?
I've never been called sweet, and you call me Sweet Ginger, so I think I meant Ben. During my 3-week reign of terror as Trump acting attorney general, before I get chased out of town with my Trump pardon, I will rain hell on Washington, D.C. Number 3, we're going to deport. We're going to deport a lot of people, 10 million people and growing. anchor babies, their parents, their grandparents. We're going to put kids in cages. It's going to be glorious. We're going to detain a lot of people in the DC Gulag and Gitmo. And list number 5, I'm going to recommend a lot of pardons. Every January 6th defendant is going to get a pardon, especially my hero Hornman. He is definitely at the top of the pardon list.
Mike,
I don't know if that's parody or if they were serious about that, because holy crap.
Yep.
Yep. I don't know what to say about that.
Meanwhile, you got one side saying that stuff. We're going to put kids in cages. It's going to be glorious. Meanwhile, the Ukraine aid package that Trump didn't want to be passed, I should say, because he has no role in passing it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Passed by 79 to 18 vote in the Senate. Trump's losing his grip.
Yeah. Good. That's a damn good thing.
Keep talking about it being glorious to put kids in cages, because I'm sure that's really going to work for you down ballot. People are going to love voting for that.
Well, the anchor baby.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be Barron Trump?
Oh, ouch.
Well,
ouch. I'm going to leave that. Of all the children, I leave Barron and I leave Tiffany out of it.
No,
Barron's too young and Tiffany's too smart.
I'm asking the question. That's all. That's all.
I hear you.
Wouldn't Ivanka be an anchor baby?
I don't know. I don't think she's Melania's.
No, but his first wife was an immigrant.
You never know.
His first wife was an immigrant. 2 of his 3 wives are immigrants.
Yes, indeed.
Besides, Barron's father isn't even Donald. It's a basketball player from Slovenia.
So the rumor goes.
So the rumor goes.
So the rumor goes. And and things are not going well for him. Apparently, according to records, it seems that 26% of all of the fundraising that Trump is doing is going directly to his legal fees. And the suckers keep paying. So, hey. All right, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Our first one of our 4th season. We're 4 years old. Looking good for 4. We hope that you love listening to us, because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please let your peeps and poops know all about us. And I'm sorry, I got to sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you so much. Remember, sharing is caring. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us, because word of mouth is priceless. And if you would like to make sure that you do not miss an episode, you don't have to, thanks to the Ray Girl. If you scan that QR code that's under my chin, that will bring you to our pod page. That's podpage.com/The True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when you go to our pod page and click subscribe, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to whatever podcast service you're using to download. So thank you so much. If you would like to help us in other ways, make like Kit Elaine there. Yep, there she is. Have a beyond awesome day, everyone. And remember to smash the button before you leave. Go to our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page and click like, share, subscribe. Thank you so very much for every time you do that. It really makes us happy. And thank you, Kit Cassie. Congratulations, lads. So worth waking up early on Manitoba time. We are very honored that you do make the time. Miss Shatika, I hope you saw the highest compliment at the start of the show, Douglas. You made Rain's morning just by being you. I did not see it, so I will have to go back and look. But thank you, Rain. Really appreciate that. Love to you. And if you would like to support us in other ways, the QR code by Mr. Grizzly's Head will take you to our coffee page. That's coffee-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. And I believe it was Kit Carroll stopped by yesterday to leave us something. So thank you very, very, very much for that.
Her husband thought it was a scam.
Really?
Put that in the chat earlier. She's like, my husband thought it was a scam. He called me and said, it's not Amazon and it's not a political party. Is it a scam? She's like, no, it's a show I donated money to.
Aw, that's lovely. And we have a couple of other people to thank, of course, and we'll do that right now with the laptop and all that kind of stuff. Don't have able to access it, but you will get your thanks. If you would like to make, I think I have some thanks to give to Kit Tabby Jean, Kit Vim as well, somewhere along the way. But if you would like to make like Kit Carol and would like to drop a few loonies or toonies into our tip jar to make sure that we remain moist over the course of the weekend so that we can come back Monday to deliver this show that we hope you love and appreciate, then please scan that QR code by Mr. Grizzly's head or use the lovely digits on your lovely hands or your voice prompt command to go to ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. Make a little contribution to the Emergency Hydration Fund. Make sure that we're well stocked with Guinness, Caesar, hot chocolate, and all the good stuff. Please, 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 please do. We would appreciate that very much, because democracy is something that you do. If you are in Alberta, make sure that you are have plans to tune in to the rest of the debates. Kit Elaine says Queen Snuggles shakes it. Yes, yes, I do. You want some of that? There you go. A little shake action. So democracy is something to do. Do that. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying it can be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Send some good vibes to my nephew Marco, who will be competing in a national volleyball tournament, I think, for under 16 or under 18s.
Cool.
This weekend here in Ottawa. That's why I'm here, trying to get the Ottawa Beaver Lodge all spiffied up so that we can have guests.
Can you come over and fix my house? My dog has made a mess of it. I've not been here long enough to. You were here. You've seen. It's I gotta get it straightened out.
Yes,
well, I got my whole fam family coming over Sunday. We're moving the bar in on Sunday, so
oh,
they're all
lovely.
going to be here. So I got to get the place spick and span. And you've been here many times. You know, I'm a neat freak with OCD, but now that I have a dog, it's really hard to stay on top of it when you work the hours that I do.
Surrender, Dorothy.
That's my mother's name. You know that, right?
I did know. I did not.
Yes, that's my mother's name, Dorothy. Hang on a sec.
Hi, Mama Grizzly. Hello, Dorothy.
Hello, Mr. Beaver.
Hello, Mrs. Fox. How are you?
So nice to see you. And I'm
How
just
was
jumping.
the show last night?
Oh, thank you. I had a great time and got some really great feedback. Cassie was on, and my farmer friends, and Super Kyle, and it was just a blast. It just
Yay.
lifted my heart so much, as was seeing you the other day with Lola.
Ms. Lola.
And I just wanted to say that I did not contribute to any of the mess in Paul's apartment.
None whatsoever.
That's the truth.
All the dishes in the sink somehow magically got there by themselves. The stuff on the desk, the papers everywhere. I don't know where they came from.
I don't know, the clothes all over his room.
There's a ghost. There's a ghost.
There's a ghost. I think it's a fairy or an elf. Just comes at night and
that's
just
what it is. Yeah,
scronkles things up. It's not me.
You know it's love, right? You know it's love.
You know it's love. Yes. Yes.
Sometimes I do the dishes when I'm allowed.
Because I usually have to redo them. She's like, "No, I pre-wash them for you. No, just leave them all."
It's a thing, Douglas. I can come over. I can pre-wash your dishes if you want.
Which means she wipes them with water, doesn't use soap. I'm like, that's not clean.
It's pre-washing.
No, it's we don't pre-wash. We wash. I don't have a dishwasher. I'm the dishwasher.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm just enjoying it happening.
I know. I know you are.
It's love. It's
Say
real.
good night, Cookie.
Good night, Cookie.
Good night, Cookie. Mr. Grizzly, please. Did you give us the words of wisdom yet?
No, I have not.
Please.
Good night, Cookies. The words of wisdom. I think my words of wisdom today. Yeah. Well, you know, it kind of boils down to this. For those who behave badly, much like Daniel Smith is doing right now.
You do that, you go to the box, 2 minutes by yourself, and you feel shame, and then you get free.
That's kind of all I've got to say for today.
All right, Mr. Grizzly, please, as Michael would say right on time, cue the cock.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.
Thank you, kids and cubs, for 3 wonderful years. And I am most definitely not eating cake for breakfast.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
It's a figment of your imagination.
Okay, now he's just trolling us. Whoops. Now he's just trolling us.
Yes.
Pierre Polyev at the Gaslight Cafe. Now he's just trolling us.
I heard the Gaslight Cafe bought the naming rights for Stornoway.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I'm definitely not eating cake for breakfast.
Remember this, my friends. Remember this. On the screen right now, I have a thing, Reform Party of Canada. I'm going to read it to you for the audible version only. This is going to be a longer than normal Easter egg. And I got a meeting in 5 minutes, so I got to go quick. The Reform Party of Canada. You may not have seen this logo in a long time, or even at all. It belonged to the Reform Party of Canada. Reform came into existence in October of 1987 with the leader, Preston Manning. It lasted until October of 2000, when Stockwell Day was named leader of the party under the name Canadian Alliance. Stockwell was only leader for a few short months before he was replaced by a man by the name of Stephen Harper. Harper led the Canadian Alliance through 2003 when he made a deal with Peter MacKay of the Progressive Conservative Party of Canada, PC Party, to merge, in quotations. A few stray PC members did join, but they were of little impact and never amounted to any influence in the newly renamed Reform Party, which took the Conservative moniker from the PC name, tossed the Progressive portion as it did not describe the new party. The new party, the Conservative Party of Canada, was nothing but a new name for Reform, its third name, and from 2003 they have maintained the moniker. Reform, now called the Conservative Party of Canada, or CPC, is a social conservative, hard-right, faith-based party with no fiscal sense or experience. They believe Canada should be a Christian nation with a similar structure to the United States with profit-driven healthcare, education, and that all of the social services should be privately run and funded. They don't care about you. They've managed to take over the remaining provincial parties bearing the Conservative name, be it PC, UCP, Saskatchewan Party, BC Liberal Party. That last one I'm a little curious about. They control 8 of 10 provincial governments, enough to remove our guaranteed health care from the Canadian Charter and our Constitution. Reform is alive and well and led today by a man named Pierre Polyev, who's been involved in the Reform Party since he was a teenager, through all of their names, all with the same dangerous anti-democratic history. And that's your lesson for today, folks.
And it's now 7 because Wapkanu fixed Manitoba.
Yes, he did.
October, Susan Holt will fix New Brunswick.
Yes, she
and
will.
Maybe Saskatchewan people will finally get tired of the Sask Party and Scott Moe, and he'll be gone too.
Let's hope so. All righty. I'm out of here. I got a meeting. In 3 minutes. I will see you later. Have a great weekend.
Eat all the cake. Happy Beaver Day to me. Happy Beaver Day to me.